Well, the St. Petersburg City Council held a marathon session on Thursday. The meeting was called to discuss plans to redevelop the area around the proposed new Rays baseball stadium. A vote on the proposed deal is likely to happen in 2 months. And with us right now is Colleen Wright, who covered the marathon meeting. You survived it.
I did. I got there at 8:30. We had about an hour break at noon, and it ended shortly after 6 p.m.
Oh, so the St. Pete City Council is key to this. They've got to approve this. So does the Pinellas County Commission. What's your sense of, based on the questions that were asked on Thursday, what's your sense about council members? Where are they headed?
So the meeting started off kind of intense. You had stadium critics kind of take the mic early and ask some pretty pointed questions, and the lawyers for the city and their outside counsel didn't really seem super prepared at first. You had Richie Floyd going in there, who on principle believes that private corporations shouldn't be subsidized by the public, especially when it comes to stadiums and sports facilities. And then you had Lisette Hanowitz, who is a former federal prosecutor, so she put her prosecutor hat on and pretty quickly picked apart some of the language in the document that had a lot of loopholes in it. And Richie did the same, going chapter and verse, picking apart these agreements. That intensity kind of subsided after everybody had a chance. It lasted 9 hours, so everyone had a chance to ask questions, but the intensity subsided, and I didn't count 4 unhappy council members yesterday. I think the votes are there to make this happen, but there's still a lot of runway. There's supposed to be another workshop in 2 weeks to go over the stadium specifically. The meeting we just had was just on the redevelopment around the stadium, but the meeting that was supposed to happen 2 weeks from now has been postponed with no date. Mm-hmm. So that will likely push official votes on the matter to July, kind of drawing out this process even more. And I guess you could view it 2 ways. You could view it as maybe due diligence is happening, they're trying to get it right, or you could be, if you're maybe for the stadium, you might be a little nervous that things aren't kind of tied up by now since a deal was announced in September.
If you were to summarize the pro side and the folks who are really in favor of this deal, what are the best arguments for the stadium, and what are the best arguments for you heard from the anti side, and the council members I mean, there's only 1 or 2 council members who've kind of expressed concern prior to this.
Yeah, I would say there's about 3 council members who have really kind of been open to much louder than the other one. But there are, I would say, solidly 3 to 4 council members who are in favor. And they look at this as kind of a deal that kind of fires on all cylinders. It's not perfect, but it's not meant to address every single problem in St. Petersburg. That's how they look at it. They look at it as a deal that keeps the Rays in St. Petersburg, has the Rays at least paying for half of the stadium, has a cohesive vision for these 65, well, really altogether, 80 some acres for the redevelopment that at least, if you were to put it out to market, like some critics say, it would look piecemeal and not like a cohesive vision. There's a lot of other parts of the deal that are pretty attractive, like, for example, building the first African-American history museum in Florida, built for the purpose of being an African-American museum. There's some affordable housing. There's much needed office space. The vacancy rates in St. Petersburg are very low. So some people look at this and say, this is a pretty good deal. It kind of touches on a lot of points. It's better than maybe going back out to get bids, and then you're stuck with 82 acres of asphalt for who knows how long. Yeah.
And the groups opposed include No Home Run, Faith in Florida, League of Women Voters, the St. Pete Tenants Union, and the Sierra Club. Why are they opposed, and why are the city council people, those 2 or 3, expressing skepticism?
Yeah. So that's also, there are a lot of groups out there who were out there protesting. When I went in at 8:30, there was about 25 to 30 people, and some are opposed to the deal as it is now. And I would say a lot of those folks, they might not, I don't know if oppose is the right word, they just want the deal to be fixed, or kind of squeeze the deal to get it to the best part. The critics of the deal say that there have been decades of studies that show that public investment into sports stadiums is not good for society. It doesn't net a good return for what is being invested. A lot of people say that the deal is lopsided, that the city is still on the hook for $142 million of infrastructure that the Rays and their development partner Hines could actually turn around and sell that land. The city is also going out for bonds on the behalf of the team and on the county to pay for this, when there are other needs in the city that could be addressed. For example, stormwater and wastewater systems. These are aging systems. We've seen the footage in flood-prone neighborhoods like Shore Acres and Riviera Bay that homes are being reflooded once, twice, 3 times.
Every storm.
Within a span of 1 or 2 years.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of priorities for a lot of people, and I think it comes down to what is everyone willing to live with and what's it worth.
All right, so Daryl and April, I want to ask you, what's your take on the proposal as it is on the table to build this new stadium and redevelop the area around it? And April, let's start with you.
Well, I would say kudos to Mayor Welch and to this city council, because this has gone on for 15 years. Other mayors, both in Tampa and St. Petersburg, have failed to get it this far. And the Rays have been a huge asset to this community, and we should continue to support them. It's a prime example of a public-private partnership, and it should be a cohesive, transformational process that's going to happen to St. Petersburg. It's going to be fabulous.
And Daryl, the opponents say this is a bailout for billionaires. What's your take on it?
This is a bailout for billionaires. The past is present, they say. So look what happened the first time around. All sorts of promises were made. All sorts of promises were not met. That's going to be the real issue this time. You've got some of the same groups surprisingly backing this when they got shafted the first time around, like the NAACP. There are going to be all sorts of jobs created for African Americans, since this was an African American area that was torn down. And yet that didn't happen. You also have to remember that politicians, whether at the city council level or the Congress level, have what I call an edifice complex. They like to build things and leave legacies to themselves, so they can say, when I was in Congress or when I was on the city council, we did this and we built a stadium, and they can pat themselves on the back. Well, that's fine, but what if this goes belly up? You know, they're projecting 7% returns on their investment from this tax area. What if that doesn't happen? What if there's a tornado? What if, you know, something drastic happens that they just don't anticipate?
Colleen, quickly, when's the next meeting on this issue at the St. Pete City Council?
Ooh, we don't know. We don't know. They postponed the next meeting on the stadium with no date set. So I'm sure it might be rescheduled maybe for early June, which is when official votes were supposed to take place, which would actually decide if the Rays are here to stay or not. We'll meet again maybe probably in June. Again, I don't know, not for sure, with votes maybe going over to July.
Okay.